Kartik says, hello, Follygon. Here's a character bust I'm working on. I've been having some trouble capturing the likeness, especially with the 3/4 view. Any comments or critiques would be really appreciated. Looking forward to your stream. Cheers. Well, awesome. Let's take a look and see what we can do. So I think the first thing that kind of just proportionally sticks out to me, is this symmetrical? It is. I think, what do I want to do here? Is this hidden at all? It is. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna make this a little bit easier on me. And just do a quick remesh on your face at 3K. Symmetry on, beautiful, remesh. Alright, so I'm just gonna do this real fast. It'll make it a lot easier for me to work on your head, and then we can look at doing our quick critique here. I think the first thing that really stood out to me is just some kind of proportional differences in essentially the heights of your facial features. I think the size is pretty close. There's some things here that we'll look at. So let's just do a quick projection. Project all, yes, we'll take the color as well. And actually I'll probably toggle off the poly paint. That's okay. We'll take it for now. Beautiful. Alright. Okie dokie. Artichoke. I'm just gonna look at the sculpt, no poly paint. So, cool job on the hair. There's some nice stuff going on here. I would probably split off where you got this kind of line running through. Instead of just like tugging that down, make that a separate piece of geometry so that you can kind of get some nice overlap there. I know this is kind of just a block out, but I think that is this good general advice for you to take a look at. As this wraps around to the back, make sure that you're paying closer attention to that silhouette. We're just looking at the silhouette here as it wraps down. It's pretty straight transition. And then from the back, this just starts to feel really flat. Starts to kind of break down the form a little bit. Where you have this hit kind of wrapping around, what I would start to do as that starts to wrap is kind of like tuck this in. So you start to get a little bit more of a, if we're looking at a cross section here, which actually we can do, we have the technology. That wasn't a very good cross section, was it? Ah, I don't have double on, that's why. There we go. So as this starts to come down and wrap around, I would try to get a little bit more of that shape, okay? So whatever it takes to do that, maybe just push in a little bit here and then start to like change the angle of that. It starts to get a little flat back here. I don't think it looks bad, but I don't like anything that's parallel or perpendicular with the floor plane. It starts to look really awkward. So if you're gonna do this, I would start to, oops, turn on transparent. Maybe follow the shape of the head a little bit more here. And then where this comes down, as it like dips in under the head and then maybe wraps back out. So look at that. And I think you can still get that to work the same from the front view. So even stuff like this for like internal silhouette lines, it's just a little flat. So kind of like following the shape of the head there, I think would be some good advice for you. And I like this kind of form, this plane change here. I think that looks good. For the face, quite a few things here. Placement, or let's just do general kind of face stuff. If I look at the head by itself, the first thing that really stands out is the forehead. It starts to wrap way too early. So we definitely want to push that up quite a bit more. Typically for these stylized heads, the top of your head is quite a bit larger in comparison to your face. I don't know what happened back there. Like if you look at an anime character's head versus the scale of its face, it's normally like ginormous. Big old swollen watermelon with a flat face on it. This isn't quite that much to that degree, but same basic kind of principle. So Get that forehead a little bit taller. Make sure you're looking at these extreme angles. It's getting a little bit kind of squared off here in the forehead. So let's make sure that we're rounding that out. Let me just find that plane change here and here real quick. Boop doop. Nice and simple. Kind of round that out. You might be able to push that forehead up even more, but then just kind of proportionally here, your hair is going to have to obviously move up to fit where that is. Whoops. Come on, rotate. So I think that's starting to feel better there. And then for your mouth, nose, eyes. Eyes need to be larger, nose needs to be moved up, mouth needs to be larger and moved up, and the angle of your mouth is like pointing down awkwardly. So let's do that really quick. Let's see, let's do some quick masking here. I'll try not to break everything completely. Boop-a-doo, move that nose up. Rotate your mouth a little bit, maybe from right there. Open that mouth, make it a little wider. Your upper lip is a little bit awkward. I'll talk about that in just a moment, a little bit more. Look at these extreme angles. When I say avoid parallels, that applies to like everything, even for stuff like your lips. Your lower lip sits underneath your upper lip from the profile. Yours is kind of coming out a little bit more, so we want to make sure that that's kind of underneath it. If you were to draw a line, it should look like this at this angle, and that's where all those lips should kind of upper lip, lower lip, chin, and maybe even the nose should kind of like align with that line. That's a general rule, not a hard rule. So don't always, he said. But so get that angle a little bit better. No parallels, remember. So as I've started to do that, you can see that we're a little bit flatter on the lower lip from this angle, whereas the upper lip is a little bit more rounded. Awesome, that's good. Lower lip versus upper lip here. If I draw out a quick mask, I should be able to do this. And I don't know how I didn't get projection errors in the corner of the mouth there. I might have. That's like one of the best Z meshes for a mouth I've ever gotten, and I did it in like 2 seconds. But getting that the corners of the mouth there to like tuck a little bit, kind of get that upper lip a little bit over top of the lower one. Make sure we're not getting too duck lippy here in the mouth. I'm gonna push back those corners and focus on the volumes here in the face. If you just look at this, I can just tell without even rotating my camera that there's like this huge hit in the middle of your face. It feels really awkward. It feels like a kind of misplaced nasolabial fold. And for a character like this area of the face is really flat, or at least it's a nice, clean, kind of rounded shape. So we don't want these like extra hits in our surface kind of throwing that off. So that, plus looking at our silhouette, coming down here from the point of the brow, a little bit in to the point of our cheek, and then down to the chin. So we have that going on now a little bit, but we just want to make sure that all these volumes are feeling the same as we rotate around in 3D. Same thing kind of with your jawline here. You want to define this a little bit more. And then after you define it, come back through and clean it up, because we don't want this super hard jawline running through there. Make sure we're getting enough volume. Wrapping up into the cheek. Starting to feel a little bit better. This is going to take you a while though, so take your time with it. For the eyes, like I said, the eyes need to be larger, and you know what, maybe not higher up. It's hard to tell because of the size of them, but what I want you to do for your eyes, this is not going to work for the body, so I'll turn that off for a sec. I want you to go into Transpose Master. It's up in your Z plugin. If you're familiar with this, just T-Pose Mesh. Take all your subtools, put them into one file, one object here. Make sure you turn on symmetry, and very quickly mask off your eyes. Get that, your lid, sure. You know what, we'll even take the brow. For the face, make sure that's not messed up in the back. All right, and then I'll just kind of soften this mask with a few control clicks. Make sure local sim is on when I scale this, because it makes it here. So if you scale something with without local symmetry on, it does that, which is beautiful. So if you turn it on, it'll scale concentrically around where your point is, even if you're using the x-axis. So I'll scale those up and maybe even slide them out a little bit. Something like that, maybe even a little bit larger. I think it might more so be that they need to get a little bit bigger, but also your eyes just need to like open up more in general. You got these really hard edges around here. Pay attention to the shape of your eyes. Right now, yours is a little bit undefined. Instead, what I would try to do is focus on the hits here. So we got this corner, one. So we wrap up to this top corner. It's almost like a rounded square is how I think of this eye shape. So we should have like the four corners of the eye, a little bit squared off, and then focus on that roundness of the eye. But also we need to think about, making sure that we're getting enough depth back here in this corner. I have a lot of videos about eyelid order, and just eyes in general. Eyes are really tough. Spend a lot of time here cleaning these up. Let's make a few quick adjustments. I think, let me see, I want to move these eyes up a little bit. And now that I look at this from the profile, your face just kind of has this like awkward tilt to it. That's how I would describe it. I'll like rotate that up a little bit. And something like that. So some quick few changes. I think that's starting to feel a bit better. What else? Make sure you're getting that clean line coming down from the corner of your eye all the way down to the lip there. This starts to go a little bit out that direction. So see that angle there? That feels a little wonky to me, the way the nose is like sitting on top of the lip here. We'll start to do that. I think there's a lot more stuff that can still happen here in the lips, but I think that's starting to feel a bit better. Let's go back. So to go back, all you have to do is go into the Z plugin menu again and click on T-pose. So we can see all those changes happen as it starts to move your geometry around for all the changes that we just made. So now we have that, all those changes made to these individual subtools. So I think that's starting to feel a bit better. I think your eyes could be opened up even more than what I just did there, but I think that's a good kind of like general direction to start heading. Your ears are super sharp and kind of just like placed on top of your head. Go away. So I'm not sure what happened here, but make sure that this transition is feeling nice and clean. Feels really integrated. Your ear is like, so your ear is inset behind your jawline. Look at a skull and look for the ear canal or auditory vetus. It's like right behind the jawline. You don't want your ears sitting out on top of your geometry, on top of your head, kind of like gradually transitioning out to the shape of the ear. So that's kind of the shape that you have right now. So I probably won't be able to fix this with just a quick move, but just to show you what I'm talking about. Start to get those a little bit closer to the head and proportionally up a lot higher. So look at where your ears are compared to where hers are with her eyes and everything else. So let me break your model real quick. Not that we haven't broken it enough. All right, and I'll just start to get those a little bit closer to where they should be. Look at this point of the ear, kind of hitting with that point of the eye. So those are a little bit closer. I would probably move them up even more. Maybe we can do that real quick. All right, well, I know that was a lot of information really quick, but I think that'll be enough to get you headed in the right direction or starting to head in the right direction. Really pay attention to that silhouette. Like I'm seeing coming down from here, this chin just has too much volume. That's definitely something we'd want to change and make sure we're getting the same amount there. What's this? Just some teeth placeholder. So that is probably also a problem with just the angle of this jaw. It's probably in combination with this. If I were you, I would start to connect up your neck to this head as well. I think transitioning that also tends to help figure out your face a little bit. All right, I know this is still really messy, but I don't want to spend 10 hours working on this gal. But I think those few things will start to get you headed in the right direction. Let's see. Let me delete that, and very quickly see where we started from. There's also a few things here that I would do in the nose to kind of simplify the way that's transitioning. What's wrong? Okay, so before and kind of a quick after. So you can see the difference there. I'll just screenshot that. Very quickly for the nose, since I didn't mention this. It's nice to like plane and block out these transitions here, but for feminine face, you want this to be a nice, kind of like seamless, clean transition. For the actual nose, I think this shape is just too sharp in general. So instead what I would do, plane that out a little bit more, and then, so it feels more intentional, then start to sharpen up, or soften that shape. And then especially in these like stylized faces, first of all, let's clean up this. Starting to feel quite a bit better. Make sure that point is transitioning nicely. You don't want this like gradual flow through there between the nose and upper lip. And then up here, I would just like erase most of this because I don't see it in the concept at all. There's no line indicating that at all. And then your nose is just like a little wide and unappealing, so I'll just make it a little smaller. I think you can still get it to read the same from the 3/4 view there. Cool, cool, cool. So yeah, that's it, I think, for now. Sculpting looks extremely fun at your level of expertise. I think sculpting's just fun in general, but thank you, Pauls. Let's see. 2-0, heading out for lunch, no problem, man. Have a great rest of your day. And before we move on, we have a quick question from Takavach, or Takavak. When using curve brushes around my object, it's going inside of my geometry in the corners, and I don't know why. I used a cube, and after subdividing, I have a cube with nice bevel edges, but the curve brush goes inside of it and all the edges, and I don't know how I should fix it to not intersect. Do you know how I should fix it? Well, let's take a look. I think I know what you're saying. So you have a curve brush, I'll just use the curve tube snap, and you're drawing that out, and it's going inside your geometry at these points here. So that's just a problem with your curve step. I wouldn't really say it's a problem, this is just like how the brush works. So as you draw that out, the more steps that you have, the more it's going to sample your geometry for where it should place that curve. So I've turned my curve step down quite a bit. It's on 0.3 for this curve tube brush. That might be your problem. I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about. The other problem might be that if you go into brush, under depth, oh my god, I could not click that for the life of me. You might want to increase the depth. So that black line, see how it's saying positive and negative numbers? That black line is the kind of intersect, that where your geometry will be set on your object. So if I make the depth like 40 or 50, you'll see that it'll be higher up than the other piece. If I really crank that, just crank that all the way up to 100, it'll be like way on top. Well, bam, like that. So that might help as well in that process. But I believe that is your problem and a possible couple solutions for you. Exactly that. Thank you so much. Absolutely, man. Happy to help. That was an easy one.